The foolishness is never ceasing, and it cracks me up is how the black community is being bombarded with this foolishness. But let's talk about it on the I'm Free Project. All right, y'all, this is James from the I'm Free Project. Let's tweet and let's post and let's talk about this because this is a very serious conversation. And in terms of being, well, serious, I don't know in terms of, well, actually it is serious. So let me get right into this because I'm really somewhat halfway surprised about what I saw. But what makes me want to talk about this is the fact that, again, it's Hollywood's way of making Christians look bad. And this is no surprise because they do this all the time. But again, it's Hollywood's way of making Christians look bad and look like judgmental people and always the type of people to always have bones in their closet as well, skeletons in their closet as well, but yet they're throwing stones at everybody else. So I was just recently going through Xfinity through my app, and I was trying to just catch up on a couple of shows or what have you. And there's a show that, again, you've probably seen it or you probably noticed it, is called The Carmichael Show, and it comes on NBC. It's a black situation, a comedy, and the actors on there is David Allen Greer, which I've watched a couple of episodes before, and I just really couldn't get into it because, quite frankly, the show is not funny. The writing is hackneyed, it's all broken up, and the acting is okay, but it's not stellar. You know, you're not going to get any quality acting out of it because the script itself is not good. It's very generic and basic, and they're trying to make points, and they're trying to moralize and be and come from it from a very liberal perspective, but they're not doing it in a very good way. I think a show like Blackish does a very good job with the writing, with the acting, and just it's slick. That's what Blackish is. Blackish is slick, and I think that's what I like about Blackish because it deals with a lot of stuff, but they deal with it in a very slick and in a somewhat balanced way, but they're not necessarily coming at the church for the most part, except again for the grandma. They always got to have a church-going grandma who herself has a lot going on in her own life, but yet she judges everybody else. So anyway, so in the Carmichael Show, in this particular episode, they were talking about, they had just came from church in the opening scene, and of course the mom goes to church, the dad goes to church, who was played by David Allen Greer. And the two sons went to church, and one of the sons, who has a girlfriend, they live together, and they've been dating, the premise is they've been dating for 2 years. Now, the premise of the girlfriend is that the girlfriend is a liberal young lady, and in one of the scenes, she's actually reading a book by David Zukav. And if you know anything about, I think his name is David Zukav, or what is it? The Zukav guy that was on Oprah, and the name of the book is The Seed of the Soul, and that was the book that she was reading, and they made sure that you could see the title of the book as it was laying right there. And she's very liberal, she's very quote-unquote open-minded, and doesn't judge about anything. So anyway, the show starts off with them coming from church. They go into the living room, and the mom is upset because the pastor apparently had been dealing with pornography. And in dealing with pornography, he told his congregation, and the first scene of the show is that mom is all upset, saying he shouldn't have been talking about those disgusting things, and it opens up a conversation about watching pornography. So then in that scene, the father mentions that David Allen Greer, he mentions that he's been watching porn. And of course, the mom gets upset. And then as it flows in through the conversation, the son, the main actor, he mentions that he watches porn as well. And then the second son also mentions it, but he mentions it on the download and saying yes and no, so he wouldn't upset mom. So they, in a comedic way, approaches the subject. However, they switch to another scene, and it talks about how the girlfriend of the main character, she watches porn as well, but she makes light of it in that she watches quote-unquote amateur porn of just real couples having sex and so forth. And so the whole situation, in that it culminates into this one scene near the end where the mom, and the scene is shot in the bedroom, and in the bedroom, there's a big cross on the back window, and there's the 10 Commandments on one side, and they're talking about how mom is judging, and how she herself, her and the dad, years ago had made an amateur film themselves. And, and she was explaining this to his son because he accidentally found it when he was trying to find a copy or an episode of The Fresh Prince when he was a little kid. And in trying to find that, he pops the VHS tape in, and it just so happened to be mom and dad doing the do. So the thing is this right here. As I was watching it, I wanted to see where they were going to take it. And they took it exactly where I thought they were going to take it. They took it down that road of it's okay, it's no big deal, everybody does it, this is what men do, and this is the thing that men should grow into, and just that society needs to relax and relate and let men release, watching pornography, and not making any judgments. And here we are with the Christian mom who's now making a judgment against everybody, but yet she herself has a little quote-unquote amateur porn in the background of her history. So it's like, here again, Hollywood always try to make that distinction that Christians themselves are the first ones to throw a stone, but yet they're living in a glass house. And that's what Hollywood does. And then also making the liberal points of that everybody just relax. Porn is okay. And the dudes start rattling off, the main characters start rattling off all these porn names and this and that and so forth and all of that, and giving porn site websites. And I was like, oh my gosh, they really went there, and they just made it seem like it's just an innocuous part of life that men do, and that it's okay. And this is how men quote unquote release from whatever situations in life, and that also that the women in relationships also watch it too. That it's okay for her to have her own personal time. I would not have been. Well, I was offended just as the fact that they are just making light of such a horrible situation. But then also when they brought the issue of the Christian mom being a number one, a hypocrite, and then number two, a judgmental person. That's when I was like, okay, here y'all go again, always attacking Christians and making us look bad. And granted, we give them the food, we give them the fuel to the fire sometimes, but come on, again, really? It's always Christianity. It's never the Muslims. It's never the Hindus. It's nobody. It's just always Christians. So, but anyway, with that in mind, and I'm going to tweet this to the Carmichael Show and everybody that's on the Carmichael Show so they can see this, because let me read you the statistics of porn. And you don't just type it in Google and it's going to be right there in your face. And let me just read this. Okay, approximately 40 million people in the United States are sexually involved with internet exposing porn, and 2.5 billion emails per day are pornographic. 25% of all search engine requests are pornography related. 72 million internet users visit pornography websites per year. 94% of Americans believe a ban on internet pornography should be legal. Sex is the number one topic searched on the internet, and that's from a book called Overdosing on Porn. 34% of church-going women say they have intentionally visited porn sites. 82% of adult Americans surveyed in March of 2004 said that the federal law against internet obscenity should be vigorously enforced. According to Data Monitor, over half of all spending on the internet is related to sexual activity. Each day, 30 million people log on to pornographic sites. Internet pornography statistics. In 2004, there were 372 million pornographic web pages, 2.5 billion emails. I mean, it goes on and on. 21% of teens say they have looked at something on the internet they wouldn't want their parents to know. Incidents of child sexual exploitation have risen from 4,573 in 1998 to over 112,000 in 2004. And these are old statistics. And now that even with pornography being free and open and all that kind of stuff, you can imagine what the stats are now. Americans spend over $10 billion per year over pornography. The Adult Industry Medical Healthcare Foundation, Healthcare Clinic for Porn Workers, carries about 600 AIDS and STDs tests per month. And the list in terms of people who have caught HIV and STDs within the pornography industry is growing year by year, and the pornography that's being filmed now is becoming more and more aggressive against women, and a lot of the pornographers those who are in the pornography industry have been slated and known to be addicted to drugs just to get through the scenes and so forth. So the stats are there. Just Google it. The stats are there to show the damaging effects of pornography. And I can't believe, actually I can't because it's Hollywood, but to know that they are trying to push this, number one, to the black community. Number two, to make it something that, oh, it's okay, and everybody does it and so forth. You know what? Everybody may do it, but at the end of the day, we as believers have to make a difference, and we as believers have to tell the truth about the effects of pornography, and that there is help for people who are struggling and dealing and addicted to pornography. You know, so either you're doing it once a week or you're doing it every day. That will have a long-lasting effect on your life, and you have to go through a whole bunch of mental and cleansing and purging to get that out of your mind. Coming from one person who knows that the effects of pornography can affect you for years to come. And so you have to start cleaning your mind by the word of God. And he said to renew your mind. And it's only by his word that will renew your mind and renew your heart. So again, Hollywood, they do what they do, but come on, when you start putting Christians in there, you start making us look like the judgmental hypocrites, then that's when I would take the real offense. Because I expect people who are unsaved to do what they're going to do, because that's the way that the world goes. But when you start trying to mock Christians, but yet you never say anything about Muslims, Hindus, and all the other religions, but yet when it comes to Christianity, you always want to make us look bad. All right, but this is James from the I'm Free Project. Stand up for what is right, people. Stand up for what is right, and know that Jesus Christ and God, the power of the Holy Ghost, is on your side. Peace.